Hi guys, it is still November 14, 2021. Wow. Rittenhouse. Kyle Rittenhouse, the trial, and then mainstream media reporting. It is a disgrace what this country has become. Just filled with people in rather powerful positions, influencing ordinary Americans to be filled with hate and violence, the division that is fomented by mainstream media. That they continue to do this is a reflection of the American people. It is a reflection of the American people. That we haven't been able to get rid of these people who lie nonstop on mainstream media. It's scary. It's scary to me. Okay, Kyle Rittenhouse. So I don't know if you've been following the trial or not. I've caught, some of it. And what I see, and then what I hear on mainstream media. There is such a wide disparity, the juxtaposition couldn't be more surreal, actually. And there are still Americans who are watching these entertainment shows they call the news. Joy Reid, the mainstream media on the left, controlled by very powerful corporations, AT&T, Comcast. All right, I don't want to bore you with my commentary. I want to show you. The reason why I'm posting this is because there is a possibility of riots breaking out upon the Rittenhouse verdict from the jury. If he is acquitted, there is a great possibility of riots breaking out. Mainstream media, good job. Good job. Yeah. Some people call it bizarre. Their bizarre and dangerous fixation with race. It's not bizarre. It's an agenda. And they drill it home. Everything is about race. So what they are looking for are the race riots. And they should be held accountable. Will Americans ever hold anybody accountable? Probably not. But it is really sad to see what is happening. And for the younger generations, they don't have any clue. They don't know what this country was, what it actually became, and what the Democratic Party is driving it back to. The evil is so great. Lies are evil. You can't, Christians who are claiming that lies are come from Satan. Well, the amount of liars in this country. And I wish that I was not living what I'm living, but I am living it, and I'm watching people get destroyed over and over and over again due to lying, due to lies. Lies. Let's get into it. Listen to this.
There are multiple times, we've talked about the times that Mr. Rittenhouse has actually pulled the trigger, right?
Yeah.
you'd agree there are multiple times, based on the surrounding circumstances, that he doesn't pull the trigger, right?
I can think of one time for sure I've seen where, when you say he didn't pull the trigger, I don't. The gun maybe pointed at someone.
You saw the video where the person, I showed it to Mr. Grosskreutz, the person runs up to Mr. Rittenhouse and then steps back, right?
Yes, I've seen that. Correct.
And no shot fired.
Correct.
You saw other people that were kind of, it wasn't a 2 or 3 person chase. There were multiple people kind of around Mr. Rittenhouse, some of them brandishing weapons, correct?
There were people, and there were people that were armed, absolutely.
And those people who didn't attack him, he didn't fire at them, did he?
Correct.
The only people that he fired at were people that had either kicked him, hit him with something, or pulled a gun on him when he's running down Sheridan Road, right?
I would agree with that statement.
And after initially when he sees Gage Grosskreutz, you'd agree when Mr. Grosskreitz's hands are up, he doesn't fire.
Correct.
There's a person to Mr. Grosskreitz's, it would be his left, with a metal pipe. Do you remember that?
I know earlier we saw, you called it a wooden club. I don't know, I remember seeing a wooden, or fairly off the distance, there's a metal pipe, yes.
And so people who are armed, he doesn't fire at any of those people, does he?
Correct.
After the shooting, I counted, and I'm not asking you for the specific number, but there's multiple shots fired after Mr. Rittenhouse fires his last shot, right?
Correct.
I counted about 10, but there's multiple, right?
Agreed.
He never turns and fires in that direction, does he?
No.
Okay, so listen to this.
Kyle Rittenhouse, he murdered 2 people, by the way.
Rittenhouse is basically what you would have had in a school shooter. He's a 17-year-old kid. He shouldn't have had a gun. He crossed state lines to supposedly protect property. No, he was going out to shoot people.
Kyle Rittenhouse, the 17-year-old vigilante.
Kyle Rittenhouse, a vigilante.
Kyle Rittenhouse, the armed teenage vigilante.
A 17-year-old vigilante, arguably a domestic terrorist, picked up a rifle, drove to a different state to shoot people.
Kyle Rittenhouse, a guy who's deeply racist, went with weapons to a Black Lives Matter protest looking to get in trouble. He did. He murdered a couple of people.
Rittenhouse, the 17-year-old kid, just running around, shooting and killing protesters.
You see the 17-year-old who was radicalized by Trumpism, took his AR-15 to Kenosha and became a killer.
A white, Trump-supporting, MAGA-loving, Blue Lives Matter social media partisan, 17 years old, picks up a gun, drives from one state to another with the intent to shoot people.
A 17-year-old boy who drove across state lines with an AR-15 and started shooting people up, including a guy with a skateboard.
Kyle Rittenhouse, who has killed protesters, unarmed protesters.
Rittenhouse, a 17-year-old that went with a weapon into the middle of protests and then provoked people and then shot and killed them.
Kyle Rittenhouse is the enemy.
A boy from out of state drives up to the state with an AR-15 around his neck, shoots and kills a couple of people, shooting wildly, running around, acting like rent-a-cop.
Drove across state lines armed with a rifle to go and shoot people.
What a dark, dystopian scene where a 17-year-old boy is carrying around a rifle, running around and gunning down protesters.
Given that...
Wow. Wow. So these people who have never met Kyle Rittenhouse are These are news reporters? Really? This is on the news? No objectivity. What you hear is just such vile, hateful, subjective, baseless opinions. That's the news today. Baseless opinions. But they're all saying essentially the same thing. So, might there be an agenda here for mainstream media propagandists to spew their vile propaganda with such vitriolic hate? What's the agenda? To fuel hatred, to fuel division, to fuel violence. If riots erupt after the verdict is announced and Kyle Rittenhouse is acquitted, which, if you watched even just a little bit of that trial, you would have seen the reason why he may be acquitted, because it was obvious self-defense. And interesting to note, all Kyle White and the 3 that he shot are white, but this is all about race. He's a white supremacist. Biden actually came out and essentially called him a white supremacist. What is wrong with the American people that they can't figure out a way to get this lying, this vitriolic rage of their so-called news, these journalists, these reporters, stopped? Do they listen to this and believe it? They're mainstreaming. They're normalizing this kind of behavior. They're normalizing hate for one another. Isn't it great? Yeah, I have been, reading some of these articles. I cannot believe. Okay, yeah. Well, it's CNN, of course. What Kyle Rittenhouse's tears reveal about America. About America? Now, I did watch this where he broke down. Guilty people never take the stand. Guilty people don't take the stand. Very often, innocent people take the stand because they want to defend themselves, because they're innocent. Despite last year's demonstration supporting racial justice and substantive efforts at political reform, the system that devalues black lives remains largely and powerfully intact. Sick of it. Every American should be so sick that they're literally nauseous by people like this guy. And all of, who you just watched ripping to shreds an 18-year-old, not reporting any objective facts, just spewing their vile onto the American people. Everybody should be nauseous at this point with the race baiting of mainstream media. And you read this article, it's disgusting. Kyle Rittenhouse, the 18-year-old on trial in Kenosha, Wisconsin, for shooting 3 people and killing 2 of them, represent the epitome of white privilege in America run amok. You can read on. I actually highlighted some sections to read, but why bother? These people are so filled with hate. But hey, give me my paycheck. That's all I care about. I don't care about the truth. I don't care about the truth. Get it, Americans? You ain't getting the truth from your mainstream media. You'll get more truth on Fox than you will ever get from MSNBC, CNN, Rittenhouse, Arbery trials, January 6th. Probe reveals stench of America's broken justice system. A judge from hell? Racially stacked juries? Favoritism toward whites and power elites? There's nothing exceptional about American justice. You read these articles, and these people should be thrown in jail. These people are they stoke the flames with their vitriol. This is dangerous. This is very dangerous. It's called mob justice even before a verdict is rendered. Yes, mob justice. That's what we want. And if they don't get their mob justice, if they don't get that jury to render a verdict that they want, it doesn't have anything to do with the facts and evidence of the case. It's just what they want. Well, then they use their threats, their violence, to just cause chaos and more division. Fabulous. I cannot stand the abject disgrace that this country has become. Progressives' attacks on Rittenhouse betrays their obsession with race. New York Post. White tears, the foul excesses of wokeness. All right, so New York Post puts out a conservative take on what is taking place. And if you've watched any of the video, you will know that this man did not come to another state to shoot up people. Joe Scarborough, you sick, twisted. It's Sunday, I'll try not to curse. The argument goes that if a white person has an emotional reaction to an accusation of racism, that in and of itself is proof of the racism. That's right. So, if you saw Kyle Rittenhouse break down on the stand, it was hard to watch. I absolutely did not feel it was a staged act. It was genuine. He's 18 years old. He's looking at life in prison, and he is being ripped to shreds. Everything about Kyle Rittenhouse. People are ripping him to shreds. The president of the United States came out when he was campaigning, he didn't call him directly a white supremacist, but Joe Biden tweets out a video. You see Kyle Rittenhouse in the video, and then he's attacking Trump for not disavowing white supremacy. We are a sick nation, Americans. Get it. The only way that any of this will heal is if people begin to see that the truth is sacrosanct. The truth. Regardless of the color of anybody's skin. The truth. How did this become about race? He shot 3 white guys. Oh, and they were just fabulous. Do you hear mainstream media talking about those white guys and how, they were just there to protest? Oh, yes. Oh, he came across state lines to shoot up protesters, according to Joe Scarborough. I find this so disgusting. I have a lot of words that I'm trying not to say. So yeah. Gotham's own Representative Jeffries, one of the most powerful members of the House of Representatives, tweeted that Rittenhouse should be locked up and the key thrown away. This was after days of testimony that even legal experts on the left said were likely to lead to an acquittal because the prosecutor did not have the evidence to show that he actually murdered somebody. The defense is self-defense. And it's the prosecutor's job. They have the burden of proof. Well, the prosecutor failed. Why? Because, obvious, the self-defense, defense, is not a lie. Yes, the facts of the case don't matter. The rule of law doesn't matter. Nothing matters except spew your subjective, baseless opinion, keep it going, divide the country, claim it's about race when, it's all white people. Oh, it was a BLM riot, right? Oh, but we can't talk about that. Ooh, they were peaceful protesters. Rittenhouse isn't the only one on trial. All of America is. Not long ago, it seemed that almost everyone in our nation believed that justice should be blind, not dependent on ideology and race. The Democrats, the left, your sick, twisted, clearly psychopathic, narcissistic, mainstream media reporters spewing out hatred for a paycheck. Far too many people want Rittenhouse punished because of who he is. No one knows who he is. Oh, he's a white supremacist, right? Because he's white. That must be the reason. That's who he is. So, punish him, because he's white. They are bringing us back to a time that was so dark. A time that we were, the great evidence of coming out of that time, and they're pushing us back. This is Rosenbaum. This is one of the guys that got shot. By the way, here. These are the three. I think it was Rosenbaum and Huber that died. I think. Antifa, the BLM protesters. Convicted felon, convicted felon, convicted felon. Assault and battery, domestic abuse, false imprisonment, illegal weapon. The other one, Gage Paul Gross Kraus, felony burglary, probation violation, illegal weapon. Rosenbaum, convicted felon, sex offender, level 3 offender, failure to maintain registration as a sex offender, attempted assault and battery. You never hear this. You don't hear anything about who these people are. All you've heard is that Kyle Rittenhouse, he is so racist, and he came across that state lines to shoot up people. That's all he wanted to do, was shoot people. But you heard The Kenosha detective admits only shot people chasing him. And, oh boy, even this shit head beyond evil. You know, look, when people lie, they betray all of us. All of us. Because lies have a ripple effect. They don't just affect the liar who speaks them and the person that they're lying about. That has a ripple effect. What is it? Oh, well, it breaks down trust. These people, they have an obligation to inform the American people with the truth, objectively. And here, Democracy Now! Stamped on her forehead, integrity. I'm the queen of integrity for the liberal? The liberal hive mind listening to this shit from Democracy Now! White supremacy trial. It's a white supremacy trial, according to Amy Goodman, Democracy Now! Oh my God. I'm not going to even play any of this. It's disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. These people. You are a sick mother. It's Sunday. Race baiter, MSNBC host and guest, say Rittenhouse's trial is white privilege on steroids. Holy shit! How the hell is it that the American people are not screaming to get rid of these people? This woman spews her own vitriol, her own racist insides. She's so corrupt, has no morals. She's a disgusting human being. Lies all the time. But I get my paycheck. And I live a fabulous life. And I don't give a shit who I influence. I don't care if white and black people tear one another apart. I got my paycheck and I'm just going to live fabulously. Joy Reid. Disgusting human being. So, it's remarkable that these people still exist.
If you want to know why critical race theory exists, the actual law school theory that emphasizes that supposedly colorblind laws in America often still have racially discriminatory outcomes, then look no further than the trial of Kyle Rittenhouse. Earlier today, the teenager accused of murdering 2 men and wounding a third in Kenosha, Wisconsin last year, took to the stand in his own defense. And the circumstances are almost built for an actual CRT course. The white, now 18-year-old, faces an almost entirely white jury of his peers, with the exception of one black man.
This woman is so filled with hate that there's not even a kernel of compassion in her. And by the way, Joy, I thought CRT didn't exist. I want to come out of this hell that has manifested here. But when you have people like this and you have people listening to them, wow, how low the American people have decided to walk. You want to hear what Biden said? What, this was posted on the 12th? Okay. This is the President of the United States. Now, this is a great reflection of the American people.
I know you're a little younger than I am, but, I've adopted the attitude of the great Negro at the time, pitcher in the Negro Leagues, went on to become a great great pitcher in the pros in the Major League Baseball after Jackie Robinson. His name was Satchel Paige. And Satchel Paige, on his 47th birthday, pitched to win against Chicago. And all the press went in and said, Satch, it's amazing. 47 years old. No one's ever pitched to win at age 47. How do you feel about being 47? He said, boys, that's not how I look at it. I said, how do you look at it, Satch? He said, I look at it this way. How old would you be if you didn't know how old you were? I'm 50 years old, and the ambassador's 47.
Oh, my God. All right. The great Negro? Really? That's the white supremacist right there. Right there. Lots of evidence. This guy. The racists are people like this disgusting piece of crap. Like Joe Scarborough. All of them. They project out onto others their own bad character. So, Kyle Rittenhouse's mom blasts Biden, claims he defamed her son. Can you imagine? Can you imagine getting into, a circumstance and suddenly, most of mainstream media is not only defaming you, they 24/7 rip you to shreds. There's nothing good about you. You're just a white supremacist. This is while the trial is going on. Do they care to inform the American people about the facts and evidence in the case? No. No. Because that's irrelevant and it's dangerous to their agenda. Dividing the American people based on race. And anyone who gets divided gets influenced by these people. It's a shame because it speaks to the fact that you're a shell of a human being, easily influenced, easily manipulated by the worst of the worst, the lowest of the low. The American people really need to start using their brain. Can you imagine being the mother of an 18-year-old? Okay, here's the mother. You can listen to her. She's very upset that Biden has come out and said that he's a white supremacist, and she rightly stated, Joe Biden doesn't know who my son is. Doesn't know. None of these people know who Kyle Rittenhouse is. And what they need to be focusing on are the facts and the evidence of the case. Instead of pronouncing judgment before the jury renders a verdict. Oh, no, they've judged him. Do you think that if he's acquitted, they will come out and say, I'm sorry, Kyle? No. They will come out and say, well, we are a systemically racist country, and the judge was racist, the defendant was racist, the jury is racist, and will we have the riots, National Guard troops, 500 activated? Here we go. I hope we don't, but listening to mainstream media, people don't care about the truth at all. Just get this white guy. 500 troops activated, along with hundreds of officers from volunteering law enforcement agencies. And even, Chicago, getting ready for him. Well, I guess, we're living a time where the truth does not matter. It just doesn't matter. And the abject idiocy that is taking place, the lack of critical thinking, the lack of objectivity, I have an agenda and I'm going to push it forward, and I don't care if I have to lie. I don't even care who dies in the process. I don't care that we destroy people's reputation or destroy people, their livelihood. Nothing matters. Why wokeism is a religion? Why? Because they don't care about facts and evidence. It's all their belief. That's all. And you can't even say that it's a belief, not even of Joy Reid's, Joe Scarborough. They're pushing an agenda upon the American people, fostering hate, fostering the racism, fostering the division. And it's all baseless. And if you watch if you still can critically think, you will know it's baseless. Why wokeism is a religion. Growing number of progressives and liberals have pointed to police killings of unarmed black men, rising carbon emissions and extreme weather events, and the killing of trans people as proof that the United States has failed to take action on racism, climate change, transphobia. And yet on each of these issues, the U.S. has made significant progress. And Joy, I want to remind you one more time. If we were a systemically racist country, you would not be sitting there spewing your hatred, making bucks, making a whole lot of bucks. BLM leader claims that there will be bloodshed in New York City, police reform argument with Eric Adams. If there is any police reform, what they're essentially saying is, if you don't continue to defund the police, make them peace officers, there will be bloodshed. Mayor-elect Eric Adams. Yeah, systemically racist. You notice how there's an awful lot of very successful black Americans. How many times have I said this? The obvious? Oh, we're not going to even look at the obvious. No, we're just going to keep pounding down that lie. I can't stand it. I'm going to end with this.
Hey, ISIS.
Sorry. Okay, all righty. Just pound down the lie. Pound it down, pound it down, pound it down.
There has to be a gay ISIS group, right?
You can't be gay and be an ISIS. That's like being a black white supremacist. But actually, that's possible now. They're saying that.
Oh yeah.
Anytime a black person says anything that doesn't go with the Democratic narrative, they said that person's carrying water for white supremacists.
Oh, that's unbelievable.
They're out of their fucking mind. That lady that was the new lieutenant governor of Virginia, that is a black woman who she's sponsored by the NRA. I mean, I don't know what all of her accolades are, but incredibly articulate lady, powerful woman. They're saying that her becoming the lieutenant governor is a victory for white supremacy. I've read that. I read that on
she's
Twitter.
A black woman.
She's a black woman. When the Larry Elder was running for governor of California, they said he's the black face of white supremacy.
That's crazy.
What? What are you saying? What the fuck are you saying? Like, you could disagree with the man's politics, but that white supremacy is like a stamp they like to put on as many things as they can. Like, 15% off.
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
well, dude, I'm sick of, like, there's been this thing against white people, like, I don't know.
Here it is.
Damn, Shorty out here grinding, bro.
Response to the tweet.
Yeah, okay,
This
so
looks like a Donnell Rawlings character as well.
Jamel
I'm
Hill
go
says
ahead
it's
and
not
say
the
that.
messaging, folks. This country simply loves white supremacy. And this is because of the victory in Virginia by the Republican Party. But the fucking governor of Virginia was doing a shitty job. The people voted. They didn't like him. They didn't understand what was going on with the way the school system was handling certain issues.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so Winsome Sears. And what is her background? It's kind of fucked that she's holding a gun. And she doesn't have her finger in the proper position either.
Actually, I'm...
What does it say?
Let me interject here. Well, I was going to say former Marine, but yep, once a Marine, always a Marine. Winsome Sears, a Marine.
I'm glad she's not.
She was in the
Finger
Marines.
on the trigger would... Oh, she will?
She was a Jamaican in the Marines, so she's an immigrant.
Oh, I like
Came to this
that.
country. She said, this country has done so much for me. I was willing to die for this country.
Wow.
She said, a Marine Corps veteran said in her speech.
And she won, Youngkin?
Yeah. Yep. Youngkin is the man, and she is the lieutenant governor. So she's like it's like the vice president.
I love this.
Amazing. Amazing. And a veteran and a Republican and an immigrant. And by the way, very few people are more anti-communist and anti-Marxist than people who've come from communist countries. You want to hear someone who's a fucking anti-Marxist, anti-communist? Talk to someone who's been from Russia. Those fucking people, anybody who's been from the Eastern Europe, they don't want to hear none of that bullshit. They they hate it. When you see these college kids talk about Marxism has never been done correctly, they're like, fuck you. You know, our country lost millions of people because of this shit.
And they will also say, what we are seeing happening in the United States is what we lived in our communist nations. We escaped it to come to the United States for the opportunities and freedom. But now, wow, it's taking place in the United States. You don't want to listen to them, right? Americans who are still listening to mainstream media. Yeah, every look, whatever. You know, it's like these little kiddies who bully and bully and bully in a very dangerous way. The gaslighting, the manipulations, the twisted lies. They would disappear in a heartbeat if the American people, on the whole, which means the majority, not every American, were a little smarter. You know, if they still were able to critically think. If they had moral fibers within them, they would listen to this and the fibers would begin to vibrate like, this is not right. Truth is the only thing that gets you on the road to living in a healthy society. And we are far gone. I, for one, am very, very upset about what is taking place. So don't leave me a comment saying I should calm down. You should get enraged. You think this little shit right here that we're looking at, you think she doesn't have a ripple effect that affects all of our lives with her lies? Think again. Links are below. I'm heartbroken. I just can't believe that we can't seem to move ourselves in a direction that's, good, truthful, loving, compassionate. Well, yeah, I know. Preaching to the choir. I know. Thank God. Thank God I have a choir. Thank God. Thank God. Because I honestly can't imagine where I would be without you guys. Ciao.